Good evening. Welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. Tonight you with me, Rung Tipchot Napalai. Thailand is set to welcome the leaders of two of the world's largest economies, U.S. President Barack Obama and China's Prime Minister Wen Jiabao. Both are to formally visit Thailand and will be granted an audience with His Majesty the King. The visits of U.S. President and China's Premier will not only strengthen diplomatic relations, but highlight the significance of politics, trade and investment in Thailand and in ASEAN as a whole. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that President Barack Obama is scheduled to arrive at Don Mueang Airport Sunday afternoon. His Majesty the King Bhumibol will grant an audience to the U.S. President around 5 p.m. at Siriraj Hospital. In the evening, President Obama will meet with Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra at Government House for a bilateral discussion focusing on the Trans-Pacific Strategic Economic Partnership Agreement, or TPP, a proposed regional FTA being negotiated by the U.S. and several Asia-Pacific nations, including Australia, Canada, Vietnam, Mexico, and 6 other countries. The agreement is focused on free trade, negotiating products and services beyond agreements already established by the World Trade Organization, or WTO. This is the first overseas visit after President Obama was re-elected. Thailand and the U.S. will celebrate 180th years of diplomatic relations in 2013. Meanwhile, Chinese Prime Minister Wen Jiabao is scheduled to arrive at Don Mueang Airport in the evening of November 20th and pay a visit to the Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Prime Minister Yingluck and Wen Jiabao are to preside over the official opening of the Chinese Cultural Center prior to the meeting at the Government House. At 4 p.m., His Majesty the King will grant an audience to Prime Minister Wen at Siriraj Hospital after meeting with the President of the Privy Council, General Prem Tindasulannonth. President Barack Obama is preparing for his first trip abroad since winning a second term, where he will try to persuade Asian partners of his commitment to the region as he faces instability in the Middle East, lingering tensions with China, and big distraction at home, including a looming fiscal crisis and a national security scandal. Here's more.
Tomorrow, Obama embarks on a whirlwind Southeast Asia tour, highlighted by a landmark visit to Myanmar, a former pariah state.
We aspire to see a region where the rise of new powers occurs peacefully, where the freedom to access the sea, air, space, and cyberspace empowers vibrant commerce, where multinational forums help promote shared values, and where citizens increasingly have the ability to influence their governments and universal human rights are upheld.
The trip, Obama's first overseas since his November 6th re-election, grows out of an initiative he announced last year to reorient America's foreign, economic and security policy as it disentangles itself from wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. It is widely seen as an attempt to counter China's regional clout. However, even before Obama departs aboard Air Force One, the Asia pivot, as the White House has dubbed it, is bumping up against geopolitical and budgetary realities that will compete for his attention during his 3 days in the region. The trip will also bring him to Thailand and take him to Cambodia. One complication for Obama is China's once-in-a-generation changing of the guard. He comes to the region just after China's president-in-waiting Xi Jinping was appointed head of the ruling Communist Party just yesterday. U.S. National Security Advisor Donilon insisted, however, the two powers could both compete and cooperate, and Washington would work to, quote, get the U.S.-China relationship right as a new Chinese leadership takes the reins. Obama's presence in Myanmar, where China acted as the main patron of the former junta, will highlight what the White House sees as a foreign policy initiative, the success in pushing the country's long-ruling generals onto the path of democratic reform. Hugh Adams, Thai PBS.
Regarding U.S.-Thailand economic relations, earlier I talked to Pornsin Pachilintanagun, Vice Chairman of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, who highlighted issues that Thailand should take into consideration prior to initial agreement to the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP.
Financial services or those services business. It's not financial services. It includes many others like education, aviation, retailing, wholesaling, healthcare, and so on. And besides this, there are also some non-related to trade. For example, trade facilitations, how we are going to facilitate trade through customs and IPR, intellectual property right. And the concern to me is this area is not manufacturing area or products area. This area means services area and non-trade related area.
Finance area.
Finance area or those IPR which will impact to a certain extent to Thai community.
Right, so Thailand has to be very well prepared.
Well, yes, we have to prepare, start with negotiating, and then after negotiating, we know what kind, or we have to look forward, what kind of remedies we have to immediately implement it in order to help the underprivileged to come along with the agreement. Especially people talk about access to medicines. If we are giving U.S. more protection of the intellectual property of the medicine,
will become more expensive,
or it's inaccessible to them. So if this is the really obstacle, the points, then the Thai government have to immediately tackle the problem. If the medicine is going to be expensive, we have to find the solutions to make it cheaper.
Right. Because it
kind
will
of
be a big problem and big concern.
Yeah, we have to talk with the U.S. If we give you, for example, give you more protection, that means we give you more monopoly time for you to sell the products. Then we have to talk about the pricing policy, how you are going to price us. We are not going to give you a blank check so that you can do anything these 5 years or year after this. The pricing policy have to be discussed, sure.
Okay.
And if we can agree, we agree. If we cannot, then we can use other terms like compulsory licensing. This is another agreement that we have under the WTO.
ThaiPBS political editor has analyzed the upcoming censor debate as it approaches heats up the current political situation. It appears that the government has started political maneuvering with an attempt to have the opposition leader dismissed from the public service. Furthermore, the censor debate is set to take place at a time when the government is also under attack from the Pitaksiam protest group. ThaiPBS political editor Sawalak Wattanasin said that the demanding international duties of our Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra are in the spotlight at the moment, with both her official trip to the United Kingdom on Wednesday and official visits to Thailand by U.S. President Barack Obama and China's Prime Minister Wen Jiabao on November 21st. Her Thai schedule has resulted in her avoiding answering questions from the press. When this is coupled with the censor debate in about 2 weeks, it appears that the government might be trying to keep the Prime Minister away from political strife. As she always seemed to be abroad these days, the government started the latest round of political games with the accusation by the Defense Ministry that former Prime Minister Abhisit Vejjajiva used a falsified military personnel registration document to apply for a teaching job and questioned whether he was still qualified to serve as a member of parliament after the Defense Ministry retroactively dismissed him from military service. To remove Abhisit from government service is to hidden agenda behind the moves of the Pheu Thai party. Democrat Party leader Abhisit has, so far, been unable to outwit his political rivals as he submitted a petition to the administrative court asking it to rule whether the Defense Ministry's order to retroactively remove him from military service and strip him of his rank to against the law. Meanwhile, the government is trying to decrease a number of participants in the anti-government group or Pitaksiam protest rally by warning via the media of the possibility of violence, including bombings during the protest rally. The government has even ordered 50,000 of police officers to be on duty to protect the protesters. However, since the People's Alliance for Democracy or PAD canceled their rally, there has been some criticism that their large membership will be motivated to join the Protecting Siam group. The The PAD leaders claim that the purpose of their cancellation is not related to protest rally. Meanwhile, the Red Shirt Network is prepared to confront the Pitak Siam group in front of Government House, but their leader will not get involved. For now, the government, the opposition whip, and protesters are all seeking the media's attention and seeking more support ahead of no confidence debate on November 24th through 28th. The Thai Meteorological Department said that the latest tropical depression to affect Thailand has weakened and has been downgraded to a low pressure cell. This weather front is likely to move slowly, probably towards the Gulf of Thailand during tomorrow. Pawit Champanya, a director of Central Weather Forecast Division, said that the tropical depression has weakened, turning into a low-pressure cell and is unlikely to re-intensify into a depression again. However, increased heavy rainfall is still expected in the lower northeast, the central region, and east and the south of Thailand, especially in Phetchaburi, Prachuap Khiri Khan, and Chumphon provinces until November 18th. Wattana Kanbua, a director of the Marine Meteorological Department, says that the front is moving slowly towards the Gulf of Thailand. If the sea temperature is as high as 30 degrees Celsius, the depression is likely to re-intensify to a tropical storm. But if it is influenced by the cold air mass from China, it will weaken further. A precipitation forecast map from the Hydro and Agro Informatics Institute shows that the rainfall is expected today in the green area, which includes Chumphon, Surat Thani, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Krabi, and Trang provinces. Tomorrow, the heavy rainfall is expected in the red area, which includes Bang Sapan district in Prachuap Khiri Khan province and municipal area and Lang Suan districts in Chumphon province and Yan Ta Khao and Pariem districts in Trang province. On Sunday, the heavy rainfall is expected in Prachuap Khiri Khan and Chumphon provinces. Even if the depression has weakened, fishermen have returned to shore as the southern monsoon season has already started. They are also concerned that the depression may intensify again. Meanwhile, in Chumphon province, authorities from the Department of Fisheries have been checking a number of local crocodile farms to ensure heavy weather will not allow the animals to escape. The broadcasting industry in Thailand has developed over several decades. Not just terrestrial television, but more cable and satellite TV channels are now available. Even though their program content is controlled by law, each TV channel has to self-censor its programs. The National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission, or NBTC, is now preparing the groundwork for the next step in broadcasting, the move to digital transmission, with its potential to increase the number of channels and therefore choice available to the public. Here's more.
The NBTC committees are now preparing regulations and licensing procedure for network providers and spectrum holders once digital broadcasting become a reality in Thailand. Colonel Nati Sukonrat, the NBTC chairman, stated that the three license types will be a 15-year license for program transmission, a license for rental of facilities such as broadcast towers, and a license for channel operators who will initially be granted a temporary 1-year license. TV operators can send their request for these three licenses to them by December 16. Meanwhile, Supati Suthampan, Thaicom Chief Executive Officer, expected to see fair and free competition between all channels. However, True Vision, GMMZ, and RH Channel 8 are the only operators that hold digital network licenses in Thailand at present.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. Thank you for watching. I'm Rung Kip Chonapalai. Have a good night. Sawadee ka.